Alright, so the CS2 update has been released yesterday and I can finally talk about it in more detail. We will also talk about the bug fixes in a couple of minutes, but for now I just wanted to go over the Armory really quickly, and I want to apologize for calling it in my initial video an operation, because this is at most half an operation, if not more akin to a battle pass. So apologies for calling it an operation, this is definitely not it. I changed the title, and I've also replied to everyone who said that it wasn't an operation, so thanks for pointing it out. I've definitely realized that as well now, and let's take a look at all of the things that are part of this. Firstly, I want to kind of complain a bit. 15 euros for one pass and then you can buy 5 of them. Kind of interesting. I'm really not sure how to feel about this. This is literally $75 basically that you have to spend to get all 5 passes. You can no longer buy the points, which I think is okay. I'm not really too sure about how people feel about buying the points. I personally never really did this, so I don't have much to say regarding that. Let's talk about these skins. We have the limited time Desert Eagle, which is basically just a case hardened. We do not really know too much about this one as of right now. If it has different patterns, if it has maybe a full blue gem pattern, would be quite interesting. There's also a case hardened 5.7 again, which is kind of interesting. It's part of the sports collection or whatever it's called, and as you can see, this is basically a case hardened 5.7. And as someone that owns a case hardened 5.7, I don't know how to feel about that. So yeah, let's just go briefly through all of the items. We have, of course, the weapon charms. There's 2 different weapon charms collections. I'm quite a huge fan of the second one, because I think that the weapon charms right here just look much nicer in comparison to the other ones. I just kind of prefer them, but of course that's personal preference. This one actually looks really interesting. Moving on to the collections, I think a lot of the lower tier skins are really incredible looking, like the Galil is an example, and there's a few other ones as well that I really like. Some of the high tier skins also look quite nice, especially of the Overpass collection, like this one. I kind of like the colorway. And then of course we also have another Zeus skin, the Dragon Snore, as well as the red skin for the Overpass collection, which looks kind of cool to be honest. Moving on to the graphics collection, I'm not a big fan of the red skin here. And then once again, some of the lower tier skins just look pretty awesome, but overall this is my least favorite collection of the bunch right here. And moving on to the sports collection, which is most likely going to be everyone's favorite, there's a few skins I really like the Rainbow Spoon and the Crimson Foil, which kind of reminds me of a Fade. And then of course we also have this really interesting looking Scout with a glitter effect and just overall a pretty cool looking design. Quite a huge fan of that one. Moving on to the case, which is also pretty interesting. I really like this AK as an example, and there's a few other skins that are quite interesting. Overall though, I just kind of wanted to skip through some of these. You can take a look at them yourself in game of course, but one thing I would like to highlight is that, as I've mentioned in one of my previous videos regarding skins, 3D skins are going to be on a whole nother level with CS2, and this is definitely a really great example for this. Personally not a big fan of the skin, but I think it's kind of cool how much is possible now with CS2 for skins. Lastly, of course, we have some sticker collections, once again with some lenticular stickers like this one. Looks pretty interesting. I kind of like some of these stickers. I think they offer some neat customization possibilities here. There are also some brand new features regarding these stickers, which we will get to in just a few moments. Now that we are done talking about the new shiny things, let's go over some of the new features and bug fixes. Starting off with the inventory and item changes. Weapon charms can be detached from a weapon, however you need to buy the tool to do so, which I don't know how to feel about that. Redeeming a charm from the Armory though also grants you 3 complementary charm detachment tools, which I think is quite alright then. Another bizarre change in my opinion is the 7-day retrade and remarket restriction Valve now applies to items from the in-game store, including the Armory, as well as trade offers and the Steam Community Market. Sticker patches and charms can now be previewed on your own items, and weapon cases can no longer be deleted from your inventory. You can now select the specific wear level for your stickers when first applying them, as well as for already applied stickers, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And stickers can now be instantly removed, rather than you having to scrape them till they are gone. Name tags can now be previewed before being applied, and applying name tags or stickers should no longer unequip the weapon from your loadout. Moving on to the animation changes, which are some of the most important changes in this update. The character posing was improved on large slopes, which no longer causes the legs to freak out now. The MJ lean was also finally addressed with this update and should no longer happen. The feet inverse kinematics now reposition to the idle pose if the feet have pinned at a largely different pose, which I think is referring to this specific issue with the feet, which gave you the ability to turn yourself into a pancake. Honestly quite an interesting one. Or the issue on Mirage and Palace, which I now can no longer replicate after this update. Run, walk and crouch animations have been adjusted to fix the wide scissor leg posing when traversing. they now appear more stiff again, similar to how they were in CSGO. Genuinely seems like this is a really big improvement to me so far, but I guess only time will tell. It's especially noticeable during fast movements, as an example strafing. In comparison to before the update, it is much easier to read the enemy's movement, which is a really great change. The ladder animations and their behavior have also been adjusted, but I sadly do not have any good footage from before the update to compare them with. Valve also removed the popping when crouching or uncrouching while jumped, which you can see on screen right now, as well as reducing the leaning on the jump animations. They also fixed the character's pose popping when falling off a ledge, as well as fixing some issues for the character animations when traversing with slow-moving weapons. Flashbangs and HE grenades no longer prematurely detonate, which was showcased very nicely over on Reddit before this update. And for the graphics changes, they've added the display selection drop-down menu, as well as fixing some graphic artifacts for the fire effect in the advanced video tab. This update also brought a few audio changes with it. A bug was fixed where the user interface sounds wouldn't position correctly when in-game. An issue was addressed where the step sounds would play for the local player, but fail to broadcast to other players and vice versa, which a lot of people complained about a while ago. The water splash sound bug was also finally addressed now, which is really good to see, as well as Valve fixing a case where the voice chat didn't work on community servers, and another case where incoming voice chats would sometimes never close. For the networking side of things, we've also received some smaller improvements, which due to me not understanding network related things too well, I will only briefly show the change notes on screen, simply because like I said, I don't understand this topic too well. And now last but not least, let's go over the map changes. On Ancient, a pixel peak has been fixed, as well as some clipping issues, and missing collisions. A case was also fixed where players could detect the player movement through the water from across the map. Anubis also received quite a few clipping adjustments, as well as another pixel peak getting fixed. Dust 2 received some clipping adjustments, as well as overpass. On Mirage, some C4 stuck spots have been fixed, most likely the ones showcased by the Duck on Twitter quite a while ago. Italy was added to the competitive matchmaking, which is certainly quite interesting, as well as Valve fixing the bird animations, which were pretty hilarious before the update. Lastly, on Nuke, a pixel walk has been fixed, which was, as far as I'm aware, referring to the spot on bomb site A, where you can stand on the CT vent or fake vent. Some C4 stuck spots have also been addressed, as well as some various other bugs. We've also received some workshop updates, which you can see on screen right now, as well as Valve removing support for command line options that were intended for development purposes only. According to my friend, this is referring to the launch commands, which were giving players wallhack basically. Well, and I forgot to mention the really interesting error bug that was caused after this update. I suppose everything is as per usual. And that already concludes this update. For the first time, however, I want to end the video with a conclusion regarding this update in particular. In terms of bug fixes, this one has been pretty good. It addressed a lot of the pain points the community has had with the game, and from what I've heard, the game now feels a bit closer to how CSGO used to feel, so that's really great. According to quite a few people, as an example Ren here, there's actually quite a few positive things about this update, and that is also basically how I view it so far. He's bringing a positive point of view to this discussion. The move-in fixes are huge according to him, and this will go a long way in making fights feel good, and all input gets feedback a few frames faster. According to him, he tested that, which also seems really great to be honest, and is going to make the game feel much smoother or crisper in comparison to before. So yeah, those bug fixes are definitely my highlight for this update as well. But content-wise, for a large update like this, I'm honestly quite disappointed. The Battle Pass is pretty cool for people that enjoy skins and the new shiny things to collect, but since we did not receive any new maps or content for the game directly, in this case maps as an example or game modes, I feel like for the content side of things, this update has been quite lackluster. However, I'm still overall quite happy with the bug fixes Valve has brought to the table here, and I really hope they will continue to improve the game further, especially on the performance side of things, and the anti-cheat. So even though there's quite a bit of negativity associated with this update, I think we should not forget about the good things this update also brought to the game. I've seen a lot of people just completely crap on this update, and I don't think that's entirely fair. I do get a lot of the points that people bring up, and I think it's quite fair, but I think we should also not forget about the quote-unquote positive side of things here as well. Thanks for watching.